Hi everybody, it's Delusion Dispeller. I haven't done any batches today, so I thought why not just go out and make a video, talk a little bit about life myself, and explain a little bit about who I am and what you've seen online with me on my YouTube channel, etc. I thought it might be kind of educational, intriguing maybe, I don't know. But I kind of did a little bit of investigating about the disorder that I've had since I was very, very little. It's called cyclothymia, or some people call it cyclothymic mood disorder. And I want to talk about that because I know I have run into many people online who I guess you would diagnose as bipolar, maybe cyclothymic, bipolar 1, bipolar 2. There's different labels for the varying levels of this disorder. And the first step to any disorder and any dysfunction of the mind or the body is admitting that you have it and being able to talk about it openly and answer any questions people have about it, and just really be yourself and let people think of you what they will, but also not to be a punching bag to people who want to just use that against you as, oh, well, that's just your disorder talking or whatever. Even if it is, it's just mean to say stuff like that to people. It's just really cruel. All right, so let's talk about this. What is cyclothymic mood disorder? You might say, I've never even heard of that. What? Cyclo what? A lot of people have said that to me. In fact, when I was diagnosed with it, I was like, what? What did you say? Cyclo, huh? It sounds like some kind of a motorcycle or something. I didn't know what it was. Cyclothymic means that basically your moods are like a cycle. They go in cycles, like around and around and around. And that's what my moods do. Um, we're going to talk more about like how this all came about and, when I found out I had it and etc. But I want to just give an overview right now. What is cyclothymic mood disorder? Actually, like the diagnosis, definition of it. Well, first of all, I have been seeing therapists since I was a child, very, very young. I had a very bad childhood, very much a fantastical childhood where I kind of lived in my head a lot. My dad took me to movies that were definitely not age appropriate, which really scarred me in some ways because a child's brain cannot process murder and mayhem and inappropriate, intimate encounters between people. A baby and a child does not understand that stuff. So our brains don't grasp that, and it really kind of throws us in a bad way. So I saw therapists since I was very, very little. I can remember being taken out of grammar school classes to go to therapy, to go see my counselors and stuff. Um, there were throughout my whole life, honestly, this is why I laugh when people are like, you need to get help, you need to go see somebody. I've never really stopped seeing anybody. I have always had a therapist since I was very, very little. Different kinds of therapists, men, women, for different reasons, but I've always seen therapists. I see one now. In fact, I'm switching to a new therapist as of September because my therapist got transferred. So, there's those in between times when your therapist isn't available or they're moved on to somewhere else. Yeah, those times obviously I don't have a therapist, so I'm not seeing one. But there are very, very um relatively few times I can remember that I did not see somebody. So yes, I do see a therapist. I have been seeing a therapist most of my life, if not all of my life, with a few breaks in between when I switched therapists or something happened like that. So some doctors call what I have cyclothymic disposition because the symptoms that I have they're not as extreme as somebody with bipolar disorder, like full blown BP. I have been diagnosed in the past with bipolar, only to have it changed every time to cyclothymia or cyclothymic mood disorder. Thank you, Lisa. And yes, all of my therapists that I've ever seen agree with these two disorders, cyclothymia and ADD. Every single one of them agree that those are definitely the two disorders I have that are evident and obvious. My lipstick is crooked, isn't it? God, I hate this. That's one reason I don't wear it, because I can never get it straight, and then it's all jankety, and it drives me crazy the whole time. All right, so anyway, yes, my therapists all agree with that. So, um, CMD and ADD. Thank you, Lisa. It's not common that this type of disorder, cyclothymia, goes into full-blown bipolar disorder, like as you age. That's not very common. About 15 to 50% of people can have that happen, where the cyclothymia becomes worse and worse and becomes full-blown bipolar. And at this time, that is not the case for me. Praise Yahweh above for that. It has stayed cyclothymia all my life. As a baby, let's go back a little bit. As a baby, I was in oxygen after I was born for at least a couple weeks, I know. My mom said, "Oh, you almost died when you were a baby." And at least that's what I remember her telling me. I just was not doing well. I don't think I was a preemie, but I was very, very small. I think I was like 6 pounds or something. I was a little tiny baby. And I just did not do well when I was born. I pretty sure I had to kind of fight for my life somewhat. And I've been fighting ever since, as you can tell. Um, as a child, I remember being very depressed, very isolated, lonely. I had a lot of nightmares, night terrors, even. Ah, gotcha, Lisa. And I just do not remember being a super happy child. I know I was happy when my dad would come and take me for visits and stuff. My parents were divorced when I was 2 or 3 years old, I believe. And my dad had visiting rights, so he would come and pick my brother and I up, and we would go to amusement parks and just regular parks, picnics, to my grandmother's house, that kind of thing. And I remember being happy kind of with him when he would do exciting things. I think that appealed to the hypomania in me, honestly. So let's talk about hypomania. What is this hypomania thing? You've heard me say welcome to my manic moments, or welcome to my hypomanic time, or whatever. Let's talk about what hypomania is. Now, mania, most people know what mania is. It's people just staying up all hours of the night, being very explicitly inappropriate with people, spending money they don't have, driving super fast, fast lifestyle, high adrenaline. That's what we picture mania as. What do I go through? I have hypomanic episodes. So let's talk about that. What hypomania is abnormal, irritable moods and increased levels of activity, mood, and energy for at least 4 days. And I must, in order to be diagnosed with this, have one or two or more symptoms. In bipolars, they have to have 2 or 3 symptoms at the same time. But for me, only 1 or 2 symptoms need to be there. Grandiosity, like I'm on top of the world and I'm doing so great today. And yes, everything is rosy and it's so sunshiny out. And you know how I get. Yeah, that's me. Hypomania. Um, Also, another symptom is inflated self esteem, decreased need for sleep. In other words, you can only sleep for a few hours and feel totally rested. More talkative than usual. I've told you guys about that. Towards the end of the month, I get super, super talky, blah, 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 blah. It's actually going into hypomanic mode now in me, where I am wanting to film more. I'm wanting to be seen more. That's definitely hypomanic. I can't deny that. It's also histrionic, which is also a problem I have, or an issue I have. I don't know if it's a problem. People like being entertained, so maybe it's not a problem. I don't know. You can tell me if it's a problem. And also unusually pressured speech. So I can hear myself as this hypomania starts, where I just talk, 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 talk. I hardly breathe in between. Other people can't get a word in edgewise, kind of like Amber. But for me, it's not all the time. It's literally only the second half of every month that I notice this and that other people notice it. You can have also, let's see, racing thoughts. I don't have that. Distractibility, I definitely have that one. But I'm also labeled and diagnosed ADD, so I'm distracted easily. You can become hyper goal focused. Yes. That's probably why at the end of the month I tend to lose the most weight, because that's when I am like really all about this exercise and eating right and stay away from the sweets and all that. That comes towards the end of the month, and that's when I notice that my weight loss really progresses. In fact, I'm not sure, but if I go back on my belly dancing videos, I'm wondering if maybe most of those were done towards the end of the month. It might be. I don't know. We'll check that out later if I remember. Also, another thing is risky involvement in activities that can cause harm to yourself or to others. No, I'm not that big of a risk taker. I mean, somewhat, yeah. When I was younger, there was more of that risk taking behavior, more promiscuity, more taking chances that were really dumb, y'all, really dumb. Not so much now. I think as I'm getting older, common sense is a little bit, stronger in me than it used to be. So I don't really see where I take chances and risks as much. Maybe in relationships. I would say some of those situations could be risky. I could get hurt again by people or things like that. But yeah, not really in activities per se. So that's hypomania. And for me, just to let you know kind of what I see myself in as far as those symptoms, I would definitely say that I have at least two or more of those symptoms. I do get the decreased need for sleep at times. It's not very often, but I have noticed that as I'm getting older, that's a more common symptom for me. I definitely have the inflated self esteem for sure. And having been word of faith, um, I could say that plays into it. Do I remember at the end of the month? Hang on a second. I would, just a sec, always get super moody. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Not do I remember, it still does. That hasn't gone away. If I get challenged towards the end of the month and I'm on a video, on a live, oh yes, I will snap. I will snap. I usually don't cuss, but at times I have even said some words I'm not proud of, and I forbid myself to use those words as well, and I get really mad if that slips out of my mouth, because I'm not that type of person. I don't like foul language. I don't think I've ever said the F word, and I don't think you will ever hear me say that word. To me, as I've said many times, that is very inappropriate. It belongs on an X-rated channel, not on my channel, and in my opinion, nobody else's either. So, yeah. But yes, there's no denying that I definitely get very confrontational from about the 15th of the month to the end of the month. No, I don't think I've ever used that word. I've used other words, but not that one. Okay, so that's hypomania. And I will have a Q&A after I'm done talking about this, because obviously there's no batches popping up right now. So I'm just going to wait till a little bit later and get some batches done. So there's also the flip side of this cyclomania, because it is a cycling thing. There is what they call the depression side. And I've told you before, and I still believe this, I don't go through depression. I go through mellow moods. I go through kind of more of an even keel, where everything is just kind of calm and chill and nothing's really bothering me. I'm just floating through the first part of the month till the hypomania hits. And I don't get depressed. Like, I don't get suicidal. I don't get to the point where I want to end everything. Thankfully, I don't. I do know people that have. And in the past, I did. Hang on, I got to get this, since I am in hypomanic mode, this stupid thing is bothering me and it does not want to stay put. All right, likes to flip around with the wind, you know? Okay, so yeah, that bothers me a lot. And things that don't normally bother me towards the end of the month will definitely bother me. All right. Like in the beginning of the month, I probably would have just calmly gotten up ugh, and flipped that thing. I'm about to just clip it on the side of the thing, on the side of the swing. Okay. It's like every time the wind shifts, that thing flips up again. All right, so let's talk about the flip side of the bipolar, or not bipolar, the cyclothymia. It's called, like I said, the depression. Oh, I'm sorry, Carly, that you're exhausted. I'll talk to you in just a minute I'm kind of on a roll here. Um, so if you have the symptom of depression, you must have 4 or less of these following symptoms to be diagnosed as depressed. You are supposed to have like a depressed mood most of the day. Bipolar people that are truly bipolar will have the depression most of the day. Um, I am not depressed most of my day. I will be very mellow most of a day. I really don't, as far as I can tell, I don't feel like I get depressed. Oh yeah, they talked about on the videos was watching, they were saying how hard it is to diagnose teenagers because they're moody to begin with because of hormones. But yeah, there are extremes in those moods that do cause you to question and investigate more. So somebody that's depressed is not usually interested in, fun activities that they normally would be interested in. I do see that with go through periods of time where I want to play board games, I want to do puzzles, I want to go out and take a walk or play frisbee. And then there's just times when I get into that depressed, mellow mode where I'm like, no, don't really feel like it. Don't want to play that game today. But it's like games that I normally would be thrilled about. I just get burned out. It's a burned out feeling like I've done it enough. Don't want to do it anymore type of thing. Yeah, so that happens. Um, Weight changes. See, I don't know if I could diagnose myself with weight changes because obviously I'm losing weight because of the dieting, and the eating right and the exercise situation. So yeah, of course my weight is changing. But drastic weight changes, I don't think so. Not based on mood, no. Sleep change, I already told you, yes. Physically slow. Um, Yeah, yeah, I could see that. In the beginning of the month, I think I do go a little bit slower. I think my mind goes slower. I think my body moves a little bit slower. I like to take my time. I like to just be chill. So yeah, I would say probably that one. So that's 2 symptoms right there. Um, Loss of energy, sometimes, yeah. And I think a lot of mine is food based though too. I'm finding out potatoes, pasta, beans, like legumes, can't do them. Cannot do them in the middle, like in the beginning of the day, during manic or I mean hypomanic or mellow moods. I cannot eat beans unless it's like right before bedtime and I want to sleep because I will not have any energy to function the rest of the day. But that's not hypomanic or depressive. Aw, thank you, Carly. So that didn't really have anything to do with that, but yeah, I have found out certain foods don't agree with me as far as being able to function well. But yeah, I think part of the depressive state could be, when I just get like, I don't feel like videotaping today. I don't really feel like being here if you guys don't want to talk. That's part of that, definitely. So it's not your fault, really. Um, Feeling unworthy. Um, I don't think I ever feel unworthy, and maybe that's why I'm such a threat to people that want to control me and want me to hurt and suffer. They get mad because I'm like, that doesn't even bother me. I don't care. You know, I don't go to that place of unworthiness. I don't feel like I've ever maybe as a kid and like as a younger teen or maybe even a very young adult, I might have felt unworthy, but now I don't. I feel like I have every much right to be here as anybody else, maybe sometimes more of a right. I don't know. I don't feel unworthy. Of course, I'm doing this video in hypomanic mode, so maybe that has something to do with the way I'm presenting it. I don't know. I can't tell. Problems concentrating and thinking. Honestly, I don't think I have as much of a problem during the mellow slash somewhat, for some people, depressive mode as I do during the manic mode, the hypomanic mode. I can't think well. Towards the end of the month, y'all, I get all discombobulated. My brain is all over the place, and people can tell me things 10 different ways, 20 different times, and I'm not going to get it. That's been happening a lot lately, actually, with a couple people that have tried to talk to me, and it just, the elevator isn't reaching that floor, you know? And I'm like, you can tell me again and again, I'm just not going to understand it, and I don't. Um, Thoughts of death and suicide. Uh, I do sometimes think about death. I do not think about killing myself. No, I don't. And in fact, I hurt for people that get to that low point. Because, yes, years ago when I was a teen and even an adolescent, I was very suicidal, extremely suicidal. I didn't take pills. I did try to cut my wrists, not with razor blades, but with sharp, pointy metal that was sticking out of a screen. I would go like this with my fists on the screen, and I was hoping I could bleed enough that I could die. I remember that. That was adolescent years. It was when everybody was gone out to dinner and left me behind again because I refused to wear whatever clothes my stepdad wanted me to wear. So yeah, I have had moments when I was suicidal, but not for years, years and years. I'm all full of, living life. I've been wanting to really enjoy my life since probably I turned in my 30s or something, and it's kind of been like that ever since. Um, so one of the things I don't know if I mentioned or not was not going more than 2 months without symptoms. That's part of cyclothymia. I always have symptoms. I don't symptoms. It's just the same cycle for me over and over. Mellow to hypomanic, mellow to hypomanic every month. And I didn't know that till I hit like maybe my early 30s and actually sat down with a notebook and chronicled it. Every day I would write down what my moods were, and you could see a pattern. I did a chart, and then you could see like where the line would go up and down, up and down, up and down. And I could see that like in the beginning of the month I was very mellow, and the end of the month I was hypomanic. And you could see it. There was no denying it. I tested myself, and even my therapist saw it, and we would regulate it, moderate it, and pay attention to it, and we would notice when it would switch over and fluctuate to from the mellow to the hypomanic. It was obvious. um anyway, so that's the one part about cyclothymia. So you don't go more than 2 months without symptoms, and you go back and forth between hypomania and depression, or hypomania and the mellow, as I call it. And I definitely did that, and do that. And denying it doesn't make it go away. So there's no point in saying, no, no, by his stripes I'm healed, I'm fine. um I honestly believe that most people, or at least the majority of people, have some type of mood fluctuation. And I think it's based on the fact that we put garbage into our soil, that we eat animals that are toxic and abused many times in factories, um, the atmosphere of the air. A lot of things I think can figure into this sort of thing. Hi, Tracy. So I don't know what caused mine per se, maybe brain damage as an infant. When I was born, I was in oxygen. I obviously had lost some oxygen, and that's why I was in the oxygen tent. So it's possible that caused some brain damage and maybe it's related. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not any type of highfalutin, know it all person. I'm only telling you my personal experience of what I go through, how my brain works, how I view life, and what you see in front of you a lot of times on the videos is what I'm going through, what I'm experiencing, and I'm just being open about it because I always have been, and that's all I know to be. So yes, to be diagnosed cyclothymic, you have to have no more than 2 months without symptoms, and you have to go back and forth between the hypomania and depression, or in my case, the mellow moods. As a teen, I was very hypomanic. That was when I guess you would say almost full blown mania at times. I can remember acting out a lot as a teen. Now, thankfully, when I was 16, I found Jesus. So most of my mania went into walking around telling people, Jesus died for your sins. You need to repent and get right with him. You need to turn your life over to him, and I was very, very zealous about it and very outward and outspoken about it. To the point that I got called down to the guidance counselor a couple times because I was going to a public school, and you're really not supposed to proselytize in the public schools. And yeah, I got called on the carpet for that in my school because I was very outspoken and didn't care. I was like, I'm just going to go back right out and do it again. I didn't care. I was very, very convinced that Jesus was the way, the truth, and the life, and everybody on this planet would be a lot better off having him control their lives. And I was determined to tell everybody about that, no matter what the consequences. Maybe some of that was hypomania, some of that was just personal conviction. But the fact that I didn't care about breaking the rules, that probably was hypomanic. And that was my teen years. And then as a young adult, when I started having babies, um, did you really, Lisa? Yeah, I understand. When I started having babies, it was aggravated by postpartum depression. I went through very, very deep depression with 3 out of my 4 children, to the point of just literally almost throwing my baby into my daughter's arms and running out the door and saying, I got to get away. I can't handle this anymore. I got to go away. And getting in my car and just driving off, and yet not knowing where I was going, probably coming very close to having car accidents. I don't know. It was bad. I had very, very, very bad postpartum depression. Um, and yes, it was diagnosed all 3 times. And it's because of the fluctuation in the hormones and the body chemistry. It's not just hormones. It's your whole chemistry changes when you have a baby. That body was geared towards sustaining that life inside of you, and now that life is gone. I almost believe the body goes through a sort of mourning process, to be honest. That's the way I would kind of describe it. Um, and you almost, when you go through this, you're almost resentful of the very child you were looking so forward to having. And then you hate yourself. You're like, why am I resenting this little baby? And this baby's so helpless. I'm afraid if I get near this baby too much, I'm going to hurt the baby. Not because I didn't like my child, not because I hated my child, but there were these feelings in my brain and these symptoms that were really, really hard to deal with. And no, I don't think drugs at the time would have been the answer. I think I did get on an antidepressant around that time with one of the episodes. But I do think it was aggravated by the cyclothymia. I think when you already have a disorder in your brain and then you couple that with hormonal stuff and chemical things and just the bombardment, I think it's too much. And your body just, it doesn't know what to do with all that. So it was really rough. I had very, very difficult, not difficult pregnancies, although one of them was when I didn't take good care of myself, but the births, when my babies were newborns, I did not handle the newborn stage well at all. I was a breastfeeding mom all 4 times, and I loved my babies, but there were times I just did not know how to cope. Thank Yahweh above that my daughters I had them far enough in age where they could help me out. I do think infant deaths where the mother kills the baby a lot of times are postpartum. I think it is the chemical change. I think it's not monitored as well as it should be by the doctors and by the family members. You need to pay attention. If your mom just had a baby and she's acting kind of weird, maybe not paying as much attention to the baby, maybe paying too much attention to the baby, you need to get her some help. I'm serious, guys. We could prevent so many deaths of infants if we just paid more attention and acted and didn't just assume everything was okay, because I'm telling you, it was not okay. And like I said, if my daughter had not been there, I don't want to think about any of that, because it was bad. It was bad. And the brain is very powerful. The brain will play something over and over and make it seem so real that you actually act on it before you know what the heck you're doing. So you need to get help. And maybe medication would be a good idea for somebody like this. Maybe literally getting physically away for months at a time if you have to, and have somebody else take care of that baby till it's a little older. I know that sounds ridiculous. And moms want to bond with their baby. Maybe have supervised bonding times. I don't know, but there's got to be an answer other than just leaving a young mom or a new mom alone with a baby when she's showing some kind of weird signs that something is off. Okay? I'm just being real with you. 30s and 40s. I was very promiscuous. I did very risky things with guys, to the point where I almost got physically assaulted by one guy. I was literally in a position where, and I've talked about this before, I think, where I was ready to participate in a certain situation, and I literally threw my legs over the side of the bed and said, "Take me home. I don't want to do this." And the guy, all the way back to the parking lot where he picked me up, said, "You're a little blankety blank. Don't you know that when you lead a guy on like this, things happen? And I could not be responsible for what I do to you." And, it was bad. It was real bad. So, yeah, there was risky, manic type behaviors back in my, younger adult years, for sure, in the 20s, 30s. Whenever I divorced my first husband, probably the 30s, 30-year-olds age, stage, whatever. Um, I just didn't think. I just jumped into situations with guys that were not good at all without thinking and without considering consequences, or maybe with considering consequences and not caring. That was like into my 30s, maybe 40s. Probably not, more like the 30s. And then in my 50s, which is what I'm in now, I'm almost 54. I'll be 54 on the 24th of this month. Less extreme manias, not so crazy. In fact, honestly, if something happened to Matthew, I might date eventually, but I don't think I would be doing those kind of, physical contact type things. My foster mom used to call them physical contact sports. Yeah, I don't think I would. I think I would wait probably till marriage. I can't say for sure, but I have the biblical beliefs that that's supposed to be only for marriage. So I would hope I would wait. I would hope my brain would not get the worst of me and have me do things I would later regret, because that's an awful feeling. Um, I think I'm more mellow than depressed, like I told you. It affects me differently now that I'm aging, I think, than it did when I was younger. Also, the hormones are not there to kind of mix up with the whole brain disorder thing. Okay, let's talk about therapy. What are my therapy sessions like? So basically, as I said, I've always had a therapist. I always probably will have a therapist. I think therapists are great. And even though I studied to become one myself, I still, and they even tell you in school, you make sure you're seeing somebody too, because you're hearing all these other people's problems that can get to you, can affect you. So, I've always seen a therapist. I probably always will see somebody. And this is how it goes. Usually, like for instance, my therapist just called me. And like I said, they all agree with the cyclothymic mood problem. They all agree with ADD, that those are my diagnoses. I was diagnosed borderline, not otherwise specified, years ago, and not one of them said they would diagnose me with that now, because it was abandonment issues, and I would cling to people for fear of being abandoned. I don't do that anymore. If anything, if I feel somebody clinging to me, I will push them away. It's unhealthy. I don't like it. It's an icky feeling. It makes your skin crawl, and it's not healthy for either person, either me or the person doing it. They need to learn to be self reliant, God reliant, and have healthy interpersonal relationships, not dependent ones. Um, so, no, I don't tend to cling to people like that. I don't fear them leaving me. When somebody says goodbye on the phone, I don't feel like it's the end of the world and I'm never going to talk to them again. But that's how it used to affect me. So when I talk to a therapist, basically they'll ask me, how are things going? How are you doing? Is anything bothering you? And they'll ask me to tell them more about it if it is. Ask me how I'm handling the situation, what kind of thoughts I have about the situation. And they might make suggestions like, do you think maybe such and such is the case about the situation? Have you considered maybe doing this or that? Like that. That's pretty much how therapy sessions go. It's not any in depth, intricate, lay on the couch and tell me about your childhood. It's not like you see in the movies. Therapy is just literally talking to somebody about stuff you're going through and maybe getting their direction on better things that you might do to handle situations, that sort of thing. So yeah, I do see a therapist, and I think it's been very helpful to me, and I think I plan on continuing to do that. I can't tell where I'm looking on this phone. It's driving me crazy. Let me flip it over here. Let's see if this works. I don't know. So if I'm not staring at the camera, it's because I'm looking kind of sideways. I think that's better, actually. I think I feel like I'm looking more at you guys than I was before. Hi, Nini. Hi, Neo. My Nini. Hi, babe. My kitties are my squirrel that distracts me when I'm talking. They're just so cute. How can you not look at them? Look at this. I just caught a really cute picture. Look at the Michi. She's totally sound asleep. Look at that face. How can you be distracted? She woke up. She heard Neo. That's why. How dare you disturb my kitty nap? Anyway, so you need to find a therapist. Well, I go to the mental health center. It's got a fluctuating pay schedule. But since I actually get Medicaid, probably because of my bipolar disorder, it's like I don't have that issue with having to pay out of pocket. So, anyway, anyway, so I'm going to open up the floor now for any questions that you have about me, about the questions, whatever. I'm open to anything as long as it's respectful and not used as a dig to attack me, or how some people come in and start baloney with people. Yeah, I don't have time for that. And I'm in hypomanic mode. So you might not want to mess with me in that way. Just saying. You've been warned. Not that I'll hurt you in any, appreciable way, but I will defend myself if I am confronted, at this point. I will. So I'm just letting you know that ahead of time before you try to pose anything that's too affrontive, if you will. But other than that, feel free to talk, and I will do my best to answer whatever your questions might be. I'm going to go back and read some chat because I totally missed a lot of it. Aw, thank you, Carly. I don't know if I'm great, but I'm real. Where'd Cram a Junkie go? Are they still in here? No, I do not take meds. And in fact, I don't know if you read them before you came in. You probably didn't, because a lot of people don't. I don't always read that description stuff. I do not take medication. I did take medication, and it made things worse. The problem with psychotropic drugs is a lot of times, depending on the brain chemistry of the person, they interact in bad ways and they can cause other problems you didn't have before. Like with the Topamax, I had tremors in my hands and my legs. It literally felt like being electrically shocked every once in a while, zapped kind of. ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Dana, I believe, has ADHD. I think Robbie may have ADHD. I think I remember them saying that. They have more of the hyper side of the attention deficit. They get distracted, but they're also very, high strung, hyper. When they get in those modes, they're just like bouncing, that kind of thing. It's almost like a mania, but it's not to the extreme where they're doing dangerous things. They're just very overactive. And Dana and Robbie, if I'm wrong, please correct me. I think that's what I heard you say, is that you had either ADD or ADHD. As a child, I was diagnosed, I believe misdiagnosed with ADHD because I was hyper. But I believe my hyperactivity was not ADHD, it was the hypomania that my mom was seeing. So when I would lay on the bed and kick the window out with my feet, like break the window, that was hypomania. I don't think that was hyperactivity like in ADHD. Borderline personality disorder. Borderline personality disorder is similar to bipolar with the mood fluctuations, but there's more to the whole fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, acting out when you think somebody's going to end a friendship, that kind of thing. Yes, attention disorder with hyperactivity. I've had the ADD all my life. I've definitely had the cyclothymia most of my life. Cyclothymic mood disorder, or CMD, does not usually get diagnosed until adolescence, teenage. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm buffering. My bad. I don't know what to do about that. Yes, Aida, he definitely enjoyed it a lot. We both did. It was very tasty. There's still more in there. We'll still be munching on that for a while. But I'm saving that for later in the day when I want to start getting tired because it's potatoes that can raise your blood sugar, then crash them down, crash your blood sugar again. So, yeah. Yes, he did. He very much enjoyed it. Carly, I have videos on borderline personality disorder that are up on my channel. You just have to look for it. I'm not sure which playlist it's in, but I don't know how many people actually check playlists on video channels. But if you look in my playlist, you'll find very specific videos that I've made on certain topics. You might want to do that. Let me see what time it is. I don't want to waste too much time talking when I could be working. So I just wanted to share a little bit about what cyclothymic mood disorder is. So when you see me acting a certain way, you'll know, oh, she must be in hypomanic mode. Just count on it. Like from the 15th on to the end of the month, hypomanic. And after that, up until the 5th, relaxed, usually. Sometimes there is an overlap. There are times my hypomanic mode will go a little bit past the 30th. Remember, our months change, the days in the months change, seasons change. All of that can affect me as well. Right now, it's beautiful. It's a sunny day. I'm feeling pretty good. I am feeling hypomanic. There's skies here. Very beautiful blue skies. Pretty green trees. Somewhat green grass, other than this dead stuff over here that I mowed. But yeah, it's beautiful out today. So I'm feeling pretty good. Who wouldn't? It's nice out and it's winter and I'm stuck in the house and I'm not getting enough sunshine. That can definitely figure into the mellow becoming a little more depressed. Some people have seasonal affective disorder that's very similar with the mellow to depressed moods, I think. So that happens. Any more questions at all? Or comments or whatever? Feel free. I know there's only 18 people in here, and I might get some comments on my comments section later, but I don't know. A lot of people have asked me to start talking more about disorders, like my channel was based on and founded on. So I decided what better to start with than my own issues, and being just open and honest about everything and telling you who I am. So, anything else you want to ask me or talk about? Yeah, there is split personality disorder, and I'm not sure that there isn't an overlap with other disorders with the split personality. You may be talking about schizophrenia, schizotypal, um, possibly borderlines also do this where they split, and they also split people where they see you as all good and all bad. But the split personality, I don't know very much about that per se, like as a disorder. But I know splitting happens, like where you see a person as all good, all bad, all black, all white. And it also happens where your own moods change and split. Or sometimes you actually have a totally different personality, like in dissociative identity disorder. I mentioned the other day on a live that I was in about Jenny Haynes. If you want to see in a person, go and watch the Jenny Haynes documentary. She was horridly, horridly abused by her. I don't even like calling him father, her sperm donor. He doesn't deserve the title of father. He honestly doesn't deserve the title of human being, in my opinion. The stuff he did to this little girl from the time she was 4 till the age of, I think, 14 was absolutely horrendous. And yeah, go watch the Jenny Haynes documentary if you want to understand more about different personalities, changing in dissociative identity or multiple personality disorder, whichever you call it. I was just trying to read. Oh, yeah. Don't fall for it, Carol. You know what's right for you. You need to stand your ground and do what is necessary. You'll feel so much better once it's all finished and said and done. So yeah, splitting, I would have to look up and research a little more on that, Carly. I can't really per se tell you exactly what that as a disorder is. I would say it's more of a DID thing or maybe a multiple personality disorder thing. Hopefully that answers that question somewhat to the best of my ability. I'm going to try to stick around for another 10 minutes for questions or chat or whatever, and then I'm going to get off here and see if I got any batches to do. Yeah, we have lots of land. I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant, Carly. It's fine. Yeah, it's a lot of land and a lot of work on the land. Um, like I said, I want to get out of here. It's a lot of land that gets flooded, and that's not fun. But for now, this is where Yahweh has me, and this is where I shall be until further change in plans. Oh yeah, he's there in Iowa. Cool. Well, depending on how you look at it, some people aren't too happy with him. Other people think it's great what he's doing. I don't know what I think. I think our world is really messed up right now. That's what I do think. Oh yeah, trying to get some relief, huh? That makes sense. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that he went to Iowa. Although honestly, Iowa is the first one to get help before Illinois does. So, yes, Cedar Rapids. I know that's where my daughter is. I saw the pictures. Are actually showing those pictures. It probably won't be until my StreamYard gets turned back on, which will be like the 22nd or whatever. I know. I delivered to a lady the other day with my Instacart that had not had power, and this was in Illinois, for a week. They lost all their food. No power for a week, even a couple days, but a whole week. She was very grateful that I brought her groceries to her. So I was happy to do that for her, definitely. Yeah. It's Instacart has been a big thing of course lately because of that. Because a lot of people have lost food. So now there's a mad rush to get to the grocery store and replenish the stock of what you lost, obviously. So I'm more than happy to help people out like that as well as I can. I'm glad I have the ability to do that for them. Yeah, you were blessed for sure. If you only had 2 days of it, yeah. Um, the storm did some very appreciable damage, even in Illinois, not just Iowa. But you don't hear a lot about Illinois because we are, as I said, the last to get the help, really. Iowa always does. Iowa has FEMA there like that, and Illinois still never got help from FEMA or IEMA, as it's called in Illinois. They came here and said, well, we're going to see what we can do. Never heard back from them. Nothing. So it is what it is. What can you do? I moved here years ago to be close to my children and be able to see my grandchildren grow up, and I somewhat got to do that. Probably more than if I had stayed out in Muscatine, Iowa. But now I'm here, and I'm paying off the rest of the house, and then Matthew and I will decide what we're going to do. Um, I'm pretty sure at some point he's going to be changing his name to Andrew because that's what his name rightfully should have been. He does not like the name Matthew. I call him Andrew. I don't call him Matthew. And he really would like to have his rightful name. The name Matthew brings very bad connotations with it for him. He had a very bad past. He was abused as a child himself, and he just doesn't like the name. So I hope someday he can get that name changed and be able to self honor himself with the rightful name he should have had. Well, we shall see. That's down the line. First, get the house paid off, get the bills caught up, and all that fun stuff. And yeah, we've started cutting out a lot of the bills that we can so that we can reduce our debt. But there's only so much you can cut out. If I cut my internet down too much, it's going to be too slow. I won't be able to stream. And that would be awful because this is a source of a little bit of income for me from the advertisement. And I would not want to lose that stream of income because that does help pay the bills. So we shall see what happens from here on out. One day at a time. Yeah, everything is fine with me. I was just talking about, well, you'll see, just rewind it. Just talking about what I experience as somebody with cyclothymia and ADD. Crazy people, I swear. You hear that zooming down the road? Like I said, this used to be such a nice, quiet area, and lately, not so much. We got fireworks going off, we got people yelling, people zooming down the road with very loud engines. Right now, it's pretty quiet. I'm enjoying it. That's why I'm out here and not in the house. Enjoy every bit of fresh air you can get and blue skies that you can get while you can get them. I love my freedoms of being able to come and go as I please. I don't have the government telling me what to do. This is beautiful. I couldn't ask for a better life as far as that goes. I could ask for a better house situation, and I have asked for that. It's just a matter of timing right now. There's a verse in the Bible that says, to whom much is given, much shall be required. And that if you're faithful in the little, he will give you much. So my heart and my focus is really on bettering what I have so that Yahweh can bless me with something more down the line, down the road. And that's what I'm doing now. So anyways, yeah. Any more comments or questions about this or whatever? It doesn't matter. I'm pretty open right now to whatever you want to ask me. As long as it's legit, not weird stuff, you know, like the trolls that come in and try to start trouble. I don't want to deal with that baloney today. Or any. I want to show you guys something because people have asked me about, you know, why do you let your kitties just run? I'd be so scared my cat would get hit by a car. See where the cars are coming from? Way down the path. Our cats don't even go anywhere close to, pretty much stay near my neighbor's house, that house over there, and near my house, the one behind me. Right now, Mimi's having a cat nap. She's snoozing away. I don't know if any other kitties are out here right now. I don't see any, unless they're underneath the thing here. Can't tell. All right, anyway. So that is that. So yeah, if somebody is mentally ill and they have cyclothymia or bipolar or anything like that, don't go up to them and say, oh, well, you must be going through a manic episode. Or, you know, that's hurtful. Don't be saying stuff like that. That's really cruel. You know, we know if we're having hypomanic episodes or mania. Let us talk about our illness. You don't come at us with it. Because it's not a weapon, you know. A lot of people, in fact, like with women for years, and I was reading something about Big Bang Theory the other day about how they really disparage women based on their cycle. Like Sheldon has made comments on Big Bang Theory about, oh, well, it must be that time of the month. And, you know, you can joke about it to an extent, but when you're using that to classify a woman and saying, well, that's why you made that dumb comment, you're going through your monthly thing, it's cruel. Don't say stuff like that. It's just every bit as cruel as racism is to say negative things about different, you know, colors, creeds, beliefs, whatever. Don't do that. Now, I'm not talking about if you're opposed to a belief like Satanism or witchcraft or something that you can't say you are. I'm saying don't throw that up in somebody's face. And yes, I'm guilty of having done that before with people. It's not right, and I wasn't right doing it, and hopefully I remembered to apologize to the people. I'm pretty sure I did, because I remember reconciling with the one person that I did it to. So I'm not perfect. I do make mistakes and say stupid stuff every once in a while. But I try to make it right as much as I can. And you should too, if you make a mistake and hurt somebody like that. All right, let's see what time it is. It's 12 o'clock. I'm going to head off of here, y'all. Thank you so much for hanging with me and listening to me talk about my issues. And this video will stay up because it's me. And, you know, like it or lump it, like me or hate me, I am me. I am always going to only be me. And I happen to like who I am. And I don't need drugs to temper my moods, you know. I don't like feeling drugged. Honestly, anybody that wants you to go on drugs should try it themselves for a while and then see if you like it. If you need it, that's different. If you can't function in society and your therapist thinks you need it, then yes, by all means, take your medicine. But I have had every therapist I've ever gone to recently say, you're managing just fine. I just stay in therapy so we can keep it monitored. That's what you do. All right, guys, I love you and have a great day. Be blessed. Mimi is saying goodbye, wandering off to wherever Mimi goes. Where you go, Meech? She's going to go preen herself some more. All right, I like ending with the kitties on the end. I think that's a good ending. Have a great one, everybody. Be blessed and stay safe and well, and enjoy your life today. Do something fun and thing. And we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.